Hello everyone, Happy New Year. This is the first message of the year, and it is also the kickoff of a special 21-day condition for our third HJ Love Offering as a donation for the construction of the Cheon Won Gung, which I announced already, I think, about this time last year in January. So I'm going to share some of True Mother's words, including a few things that have not been published. And it is my goal that at the end of this message, you feel substantially compelled to help True Mother with a true sense of ownership to help True Mother complete this historic temple construction with your donation. So the title of this message is 2023, the year the Cheon Won Gung was built. So this is really the end of an old era and the beginning of a new era. I want to take you back to April 26, 2021, and this was the first time that the leaders were gathered again in Korea. It was the first time we saw True Mother since the 2020 World Summit, and it was the first time that we saw True Mother since all of the leadership changes. And it was April 26, early in the morning, Mother called us up to the Cheon Won Gung. And I have my own personal notes of a few things that she shared that morning. She said, "We are meeting for the first time in a year and a half. A new era has begun. It began in 1960 with the advent of True Parents. If Christianity had understood at that time, then cheers of Hosanna would have been heard around the world." So, just for a moment, reflect. Probably most of you watching were born after 1960, many of you, right? So when we listen to what Mother's saying, we really have to get out of our old wineskin, okay? And even just imagining that the entire world as you know it would have been quite different. The world that you grew up in, the world that you were born in, would have been quite different. If it's true that true parents are true parents, and if it's true that Christianity was prepared to know them, support them, embrace them, and sing Hosanna, then if all those things are true, and if you believe that, then you have to, in your own mind, just for a moment, imagine, paint a picture of what world you would have been born into. So, had you been born into that world, it would have been good to have been born into a Christian country. Had Christianity understood at that time, then Cheon Won Gung would have been declared at that time. And the settlement would have already taken place at that time. But it didn't. So Mother, I'm going to continue with Mother's comments. Again, this is early, April 26, 2021, speaking to the leaders. Mother said, if Christianity had understood at that time, then cheers of Hosanna would have been heard around the world. However, the environment that heaven prepared failed. True parents had to start anew. No one could fathom what the early church went through. Up to 2013 was the wilderness course providence that only true parents knew. You cannot imagine the suffering and pain. Who opened the gates of Cheon Won Gung? Mother asked. And Mother answered, True Mother. So, this is just a second. Why was True Mother even asking this question? Why is Mother testing the leaders or reminding them with this test? Who opened the gates of Cheon Won Gung? It was True Mother. Who declared Foundation Day? I believe that 99.99999% of us in the movement around the world still do not understand the significance of this thing or understand why. And so Mother does not say or do things haphazardly. She's asking us, who opened the gates? True Mother. Mother continues, at that time, you who were in positions of leadership should have known that new wine must be poured into new wineskins. A new mentality needs to be adopted in a new era. Well, that's fair to say. Did we know it was a new era? Was it just another proclamation? Was it just another event? Were we still sad because True Father ascended? What were we thinking? And Mother's speaking to the leaders. She's speaking, and particularly speaking to the leaders who were kind of in charge at that time. By the way, many of the leaders who were in charge at that time some of them were not in the room anymore. But there were leaders in the room on this morning who were in positions of authority. But I don't believe that Mother was just admonishing them, testing them, reminding them. And I think I've told you this before. We should all take responsibility as children, as true children. So Mother's speaking to us all. At that time, you who are in positions of leadership should have known that new wine must be poured into new wineskins. Well, that's one thing. And that a new mentality needs to be adopted in a new era. That's the second thing. Which means the recognition that we are in a new era. These two things. We should have understood that we were in a markedly different, a markedly new era. And as such, we should have thrown away our old wineskins. And that means like throw away our old concepts. And at least with sincere prayer to heaven, ask, what is the meaning of this era? And even if we didn't have dreams about it, even if we didn't hear angels singing revelations to us, the foundation of that prayer alone would have rendered our minds more open to what True Mother was doing and what True Mother was saying at the time. At that time, you who were in positions of leadership should have known that new wine must be poured into new wineskins. A new mentality needs to be adopted in a new era. Brothers and sisters, I said at the beginning of this message that something about what's happening in this year is again sort of the turning of the key of the settlement of a new era that marks a new era and the end of an old. So I think that Mother is really beckoning us to be careful that we are ready for this new era. Please do not listen to these words as if we're talking about history, but we're not also making history. We are talking about words Mother said a few years ago, but we are making a new history with this new turning point in history, and we should be darn well learning from what we failed to do before. A new mentality needs to be adopted in a new era. So, how did you react when I told you that I am the only begotten daughter? Remember, Mother's sitting in a room of her most central leaders, asking them, how did you react when I told you that I am God's only begotten daughter? Silence. And without an answer in the room, Mother didn't restate what happened. She simply let the question hang, and then, in a sense, she answered with her following statement, which was, that's why I had to persevere silently for 7 years. Mother was mentioning this morning that indeed the 7-year course up to the 2020 summit was a 7-year period filled with victories. And she especially mentioned about the advancement of the Chombo Foundation and the Chombo Blessed Families. And she mentioned about the Chombo families registered in the Chombo One are the true, models, the citizens of Cheon Won Gung. She mentioned that. She really honored the things that were accomplished. But something fundamental was still missing. And because of it, Mother had to hold her breath again. Mother had to persevere silently again for 7 years. She said, you may have had an idea of how I felt during this course. She said, I am not a representative. I am the only begotten daughter. I know the truth of heaven's providence. So again, it's one thing for Mother to say these things, but you have to also connect to the motivation. Why does Mother feel the need to say these things? These are the questions we need to ask. It's not just enough, oh, Mother said this, and then to kind of understand this, but to even question, why did Mother feel the need to say this? I am not a representative. I am the only begotten daughter. I know the truth of heaven's providence. Why is Mother saying this in 2021 to her top leadership team? She would only say it if she felt the need to say it. The truth is, there's a lot more that Mother would wish to say that she doesn't. Do you understand? If there's this much that Mother would wish to say, but she only says this much, then you can bet $1 trillion that every single word that she says of this, of all the things she would wish to say, you can be darn well sure that the things that actually come out of her mouth are extremely purposeful. Purposeful. So, why? Why, as I sat there in the room, did she feel the need to tell us? Again, I'm not a representative, okay? I'm not a stand-in. I'm not a sidekick. I'm not a spokesperson. I am the thing. I am the only begotten daughter. I didn't come to know of. I didn't study. I know the truth of heaven. I know the truth of heaven's providence. She would only say such things if she still believed that any of us harbored any doubt at all about that truth. And then she went on to say, in reality, at the time I proclaimed the opening of the gates of Cheon Won Gung, I made a firm resolve to build the Cheon Won Gung, but leaders failed to unite with me. Do you understand? Mother's vision of this building, which was originally described as a museum, but Mother later explained that the terminology of museum and the idea of museum would not be enough to encapsulate the true meaning and purpose of this building. That is why it has changed over time. And it may also be that Mother's expression of this building has changed over time, in part because God has been guiding her, or because also we were limited at various stages over the last 10 years, limited to the degree that we would even understand what Mother is saying. Or maybe both is true. In reality, at the time that I proclaimed the opening of the gates of Cheon Won Gung, I made a firm resolve. So this is after Foundation Day. I made a firm resolve to build the Cheon Won Gung, but leaders failed to unite with me. Now, True Mother has actually spoken about this more than once. She's revealing that there was a delay. Do you understand? There was a delay. Here we are in the year of 2023, still talking about the construction of the Cheon Won Gung, when in reality, this should have happened years ago, 60 years ago, 6,000 years ago. So again, there's only so much we can talk about the delays of 60 or 100 or 1,000 years ago, but we should pay attention, especially those of us who have been involved, the members, what's been going on the last 10 years? And still, do we understand enough to be worthy of even, going there? Because Mother, remember, wants us to really strengthen our resolve and become new by May 5, by the opening of Cheon Won Gung. Are you following me? Are you following? There was a delay. Did you know there was a delay? Maybe you heard Mother mention this and didn't really think. This building should have already been built by now. So why a delay? Mother says, the owner needs a place to firmly establish their abode. That's fair. There needs to be an abode, a dwelling place. There needs to be the Holy of Holies. In the era of Moses, after the Exodus, they built the tabernacle. That's why, as we enter Cheon Won Gung, we need to build the abode of Heavenly Parent. At the time that I proclaimed Cheon Won Gung, there was not a single person who could fathom the depths of my heart, not even my own children. I felt like I was on a stormy sea, on a rickety boat, in search of victory. Therefore, you who are leaders of Cheon Won Gung, you cannot live like the leaders of the wilderness course. So Mother's drawing a parallel. When Moses came down the Mount Sinai with the tablets, when eventually these tablets were then housed in the Ark of the Covenant, which was housed in the tabernacle. The tabernacle was a portable temple for the Israelites during the wilderness course, ultimately until the time of the construction of what is known as the first temple, or Solomon's temple, God instructed King Solomon to construct this temple, and it was constructed after the design of the tabernacle, but much more ornate and permanent. So it marked the settlement of the Israelites. It was the center not just of their worship, it was the center of their sovereignty. It truly signified the center of this people. And it was a place for God's dwelling. Similarly, the temple that True Mother is building signifies the settlement of Cheon Won Gung. But this temple, the Heavenly Parent Holy Community Temple for God, where God can manifest in His dwelling place in His complete original form, not in the form of God, not in the form of Heavenly Father or Heavenly Mother, but Heavenly Parent. The dwelling place, the abode of Heavenly Parent. And also, it is not just a temple for a select group. It is a dwelling of Heavenly Parent and a place for all of humanity. The temple of the Heavenly Parent Holy Community, where all are invited to be one with God in substance, not just for a select group of believers, but for all. And furthermore, it is being erected as the capital of Cheon Won Gung. The capital. In September of 2019, Mother said, "The completion of this building will see the completion of the providence. It is the culmination of human history. If Cheon Won Gung serves as the Holy of Holies centering on true parents, the concept of Cheonji Sanak Wan was to serve as the central governing office. Its name is now changed to Cheon Won Gung. This will be the place where true parents who are on earth will rule all of humanity and all nations. It's the capital." Mother said in November of 2020, Cheon Won Gung is a unique holy temple. The capital of Cheon Won Gung. The capital of Cheon Won Gung. It's a nation, the capital of the nation. Not of Korea, not of just a church, not of our little nation. Ultimately, the nation of the kingdom of heaven. The final holy nation, the nation of humanity, the nation where all of God's children, sons and daughters, brothers and sisters, can claim as their capital, their temple. This is not your temple, it is the temple of humanity where they can meet with God. And therefore, the question becomes, who would like to mark their name down as the owners, as the constructors, as the builders of this temple? Would you like to? That's why I'm inviting you and reminding you that our third HJ Love offering will be for this. And you should consider, if possible, not just double or quadruple, but even 8 times or more what you were able to give before. This is what we have been preparing for, brothers and sisters. And the completion stage of our 3 HJ Love offerings is so substantial in this regard. We are literally sending bricks, sending labor, sending not just prayer, but substance to the construction and completion of this holy and historic temple. But again, we should understand, don't be complacent or in any way negligent in our thinking. We really, truly, each of us must own it. I want to build this temple. We must own it like that. And in that motivation, we need to remember that this should have already happened. Okay? It should have already happened. In fact, in all honesty, like I said, before we were born. So we are now somehow because of the course of human history and because of the course of the difficult 6 decades of True Parents' life course through the wilderness, to come back to the point of establishing substance and settlement where we should have been long ago. And we are the ones alive today, brothers and sisters. We are the ones left here. Maybe many capable people have come and gone. And we are grateful for whatever inch of foundation they helped build, but it is now us. Us. We should reflect on this first day of 2023, the year in which the Cheon Won Gung was built. We are watching again history unfold, and again we are in the captain's chair. It should have happened already, soon after Foundation Day, but it was delayed. Why? Because of disunity. Some people didn't believe this, didn't believe that, didn't want to do this, didn't want to do that. Who is capable of such thought? We are. Just this November, this year, Mother said, the establishment of Cheon Il Guk for the first time in history and the construction of Heavenly Parent's substantial temple where Heavenly Parent's dreams can be realized. It is shocking that we did not have the time to prepare for such a historic day. So in a sense, Mother is like so happy that this day is coming, and so urgent to see it coming, but also still unsatisfied, right? You can hear from all these words, unsatisfied with our pace of understanding and our pace of unity and our pace of substance. So what, brothers and sisters, will be our substance today? Mother continues, yet, in order to keep my promise to heaven, the truth is that I could not sleep at night. When it comes to Cheon Il Guk, it is important to build a country as its pillar, a nation that can represent it. That's fair enough, right? The national bird and the national flower have been established. However, when I reflect on the past 10 years, in my heart, I felt like I had to find one tiny needle in the midst of a desert sandstorm without being able to open my eyes. Mother felt alone. Despite the fact that she was surrounded by family members, surrounded by faithful leaders, surrounded by faithful members, aren't we? So why is it that she felt alone? Is it too much for me to say such things and put such questions upon us? Is it somebody else's responsibility when you listen to these words that Mother's sharing? Am I thinking? Are you thinking that we're thinking about someone else? Are we talking about someone else that didn't support Mother? Are we talking about someone else that didn't understand Mother? If we think that way, then we will probably also think, oh, it's someone else's responsibility to build the temple. When I reflect upon the past 10 years, in my heart, I felt like I had to find one tiny needle in the midst of a desert sandstorm without being able to open my eyes. When a country was established in history, there were central people, and there were those who participated in that. But I cannot say I had such people around me. I endured everything by myself and then proclaimed the first year of Cheon Il Guk. Well, this was 10 years ago and continued until now. So, in a sense, we're looking at a 10-year period because we're now entering into the 11th year of Cheon Il Guk, right? So we're talking about a 10-year period that if we look back, we should understand everything should have been compressed into one. So the foundations should have been set. The environment should have been set, not only for Foundation Day to be proclaimed, but for the nation to be proclaimed, substantially in settlement form, centering on the Holy Temple. So in some sense, I feel like we are revisiting Foundation Day. Do you understand? So, in some sense, Mother's saying these things over the course of these 10 years so that we wake up. And if we wake up, it's like we then wake up kind of like not to where we are today, but we kind of like wake up to where we were supposed to be 10 years ago. So what that means is we need to analyze that and consider, okay, so it's like beginning of a new era. And so if we were supposed to be new wineskins 10 years ago, but we failed, and now we're kind of inching our way forward, and now, okay, we build the temple, or, oh, I can send a couple $100, and then, I did that. But no, it's like so much bigger than this. It's not just make a little donation. It should be painful, actually. It should be painful, not because that's usually what a real offering is. Great religious leaders always say a true donation is the one that hurts a little bit, at least a little bit. If it's easy, then it's not really a giving thing, right? So even in a normal day, it's going to hurt a little bit. But for something as central as the capital of our Cheon Won Gung, our eternal homeland, this is something that not only should we, feel a little bit of pain and really stretch on this one, but we should be excited about feeling that pain and proud about it. But not just because of that. We're facing it, in some sense, with a little bit of shame, with a little bit of, and I don't usually preach on shame or guilt, believe me, but I can't ignore Mother's words. And it's kind of like, well, we should have been there already. So, oh, okay, yeah, sorry, I'm a little late, there you go. No, that's not the correct heart we should have. We now have 4 months to harvest our donations and our tribe's donations and our ambassadors for peace, their donations. We have 4 months, but this first 21 days is essentially geared towards our leaders and our members really standing up with a true understanding and a resolve that must come from your prayer, not from this message. The only purpose of this message is to perhaps to provoke, to stimulate, to get the ball, the wheels turning for you to reflect and go way beyond where it is my mind and my heart can take you. Go to where God guides you. Read these words of True Mother yourself and reflect. What is my responsibility, my desire, even my recompense or my apology in some sense, my repentance and my gratitude? That Mother is it's not like, oh, Mother's giving us the chance to participate. Mother didn't give up. Mother kept on going. Even when anyone normal would have more than enough reason to give up, by herself continued going. And we're kind of like, moping along and kind of doing our best, but not really getting it. And so do we get it? Are we getting it? Let's really make sure this 21 days that we get it. Maybe you're ready. You can feel you're getting it. That's great. Then get it and spread the word. Figure out how you can stimulate your wife, your husband, your children to understand what God wants to tell you. What does God want to tell you about this time in human history? What if you were one of the Israelites working on that project with King Solomon of the day? It's not about the building. The building represents the beginning of a new era and the end of an old. The end of traipsing around in the wilderness. This was what the mark of Foundation Day was supposed to be. But even at the end of the 7-year course after Foundation Day, after the World Summit, after the victory that Mother established by 2020, still she's speaking to us, her core leaders, those who know the most. Still she's telling us, until now, it has been the wilderness course. Until now, can I trust that you really know? Or do I have to ask you again, who am I? Do you know who I am? Do you know that I know what I know? Because heaven told me so, because God told me so. Not because someone taught me, not because I need your permission. This is what's so amazing. And all of you guys that think that you know father better than mother, wow. Anybody. You may know much more than me. But one thing I know is there's only one person in the entire human history that knows father as good as true mother and is true mother. So no matter how much you think you know, because you were with father here, or you heard father do this, or saw father say that, or understood the principle so deeply. So for me to follow you and believe you means I need to trust that you know father better than mother. You know God better than mother. You know the principle better than mother. Oh my gosh. Does anybody ever stop to think? You're literally putting your life in someone's hands who says they know better about father than the woman who slept with him, the woman who shared the pillow with him, the woman who shared the bathroom with him, the woman who shared her soul with him. Ridiculous. So why is it that mother still feels the need to ask such questions? To us. Why? Are you feeling that I'm a little angry? Please don't think if you feel I'm angry, I'm not angry with you. But I do feel some great desire to be the true version of myself. And I feel that there have been so many things in the course of my experience with this movement that were not correct, shouldn't have happened. Sure, things that I've said and done, but also many things that occurred as a result of the confusion of leaders and the confusion of our members and the confusion of our culture and the environment that was not set, not correct for true family, for our blessed children, for our blessed families. Why am I saying that? Because I'm reminding you that Mother really wants us to be resonating properly. So we're not just talking about a donation for the building. We're talking about the donation of our heart, the donation of our true spirit, the donation of our unity with True Mother, the donation of our new wineskin that can finally be a vessel for Mother to have real give and take with. True parents are still alive. So do we owe it to them to be able to be the people who don't just pretend to be or just glorify true parents? Let us truly be children of Heavenly Parent and true parents. And what would we do? Do you remember I gave you this 40-day this 40-day condition we did, like act as if we're actually the children of true parents? Have you ever heard of such a thing? Oh, of course we're the children of true. Really? So that's how we act? Do I really act? Do I really act? Do I really think about what Mother's thinking? I tell you, Mother's thinking about this right now. And she's looking for those of us. Which people, which family, which person, by merit of their donation externally and also their donation internally. She's not just looking for the donations. She's waiting for our testimony of what is our experience with this thing. She's looking. Which people, which family, which nation, which region. So who are we? Who are we? What will we do? This 21 days, this next 4 months, up to May 5, what will we do? This is it. This is the time we've been preparing for here in Asia Pacific One together. Our third HJ Love Offering is not just money. Let us make our third HJ Love Offering a true responsive heart to the words that Mother's trying to sneak into our mind that we seem to not really understand. The end of an old era, the beginning of a new one. This is some words that she shared at the victory dedication of the Cheon Won Gung. Though true parents were actually manifested on the third month, the 16th day of 1960, from heaven's viewpoint, true parents were placed in a perilous environment, like children by the riverside with every risk of falling in. Do you remember? I gave a sermon on this before. So mother is admitting that true parents were in a position where they could fall in, okay? It wasn't just, oh, father's born, mother's born, easy peasy. No. Even father and mother had the potential to fall to the wayside, to be caught up in the storm, to be killed. It was a cause of heartbreak for God. And the life that true parents have had to lead during the past 6 decades has been such that we all cannot but feel that we have failed Him, meaning God, over and over and over again. So when we see true parents suffering, when we see true parents suffering, we're failing God. Because the source of their suffering will in some measure be connected to my failure. So when mother sits there in the chair and asks me, how did you react when I told you I was the only begotten daughter? Who am I? I know heaven's providence. So if mother's feeling the frustration and the need and frankly the heartbreak to have to even mention such things, then surely even now still we are causing heartbreak to Heavenly Parent. But at the same time, Mother is giving us hope because she recognizes that we are kind of inching our way forward by hook or by crook, and frankly, 99.9999% because of Mother. So, but we can be so proud of our position. Oh, I'm this kind of leader or that kind of leader. I have this kind of accomplishment. I'm so sick of hearing it. Oh. I mean, we're great. Believe me, we're great. You're great. I'm great. God's sons and daughters. But come on. I serve as a servant, as a son, in my position in Asia. It's not my Asia. It's not my continent, right? The leaders and the members and the buildings and the fruits and the assets and every single precious child, every heart that is in our midst in this region is true parents' result. Everything belongs to true parents because it's God's. And I don't want to get in the way of that. It's not about me or the previous leaders. Please know this. True parents did not come here to train us how to glorify them. And they did not come here to train us how to glorify some leader. They came here to help us re-engage in our original relationship with Heavenly Parent who wishes to dwell with us, within our couples, within our families, within our bedrooms, and within one public place that can represent the dwelling place of Heavenly Parent for all of humanity, every faith, every human being in the physical world and the spiritual world, for all of human history from now. This is a new era, brothers and sisters, a new era, which means the end of an old era. So goodbye, Damien of before, of 2022, of 2021. And hello, Damien of 2023 and beyond. This is the end of an old and the beginning of a new. Are we getting it? Mother says, even though our Heavenly Parent has endeavored for thousands of years to embrace humanity as His children, in the end, true parents had been thrust into such an environment of helplessness that they had to toil for 60 years. It didn't have to happen. It wasn't supposed to happen. It happened. And Mother ends with these words. We have a busy year before us, okay? As all of you gathered here are leaders and senior members of our movement, you need to properly know the truth of Heavenly Providence by attending this workshop. Remember this workshop that Mother sent us to? I wish for you to be in a position in which you know the truth of what takes place through the manifestation of true parents and what your responsibilities are. Then you will be able to rid yourselves of everything and make a new beginning. So anybody wondering? Yeah, that's what we're supposed to be doing. You got a question? Ask me. But I tell you this. Before God made the world, God had the image of true parents in mind. Made the world and the principles of creation and all of these environments so that from within this, true parents could be born. Before everything was created, this image was there. And then everything was created to create the environment for true parents to be born, to be victorious. And look, it took us thousands of years to get there. This is the story of humanity. You like the story, you believe the story, you don't like the story, you don't believe the story, that's up to you. But we didn't just need an only begotten son. We needed an only begotten daughter. And True Mother is the first in human history to be that person. And so, what does that mean? The first. Born free of accusation. Born into a ardent 3-generation Christian household. Mother has the right to challenge Christianity and say, where were you? And Mother has the right to challenge UC members and say, where were you? Mother has the right to build God's temple. Mother has the right and even the responsibility as God's daughter to do so, and to do so having spoken the truth. And she has the right for us to be able to listen and believe, not just blindly, not just deafly, not just because, oh, we studied it 40 years ago so we know. No, but deeply. So don't even believe a word without your prayer. But then once you pray on it, pray on these words and ask Heavenly Parent to guide you. Ask your ancestors to guide you. What is it that you will sign on the stone walls of the Cheon Won Gung, of the Cheonil Sanctum, the Heavenly Parent Holy Community Temple? Where will your name be in human history? I'm not trying to sell you as a salesman. I'm not trying to pitch it to you as a salesman. I would be irresponsible if I didn't fully ask you that question. Mother's going to do it with or without us. So what part do we wish to play together with Mother? Let us make our external offering, no matter how painful it is. Let us make it, and let us make our internal offering, no matter how painful it is. Let us make it. And I believe that the better we do with our external offering will probably help us also change our internal mind. Usually, this is the way we are pulled, So, brothers and sisters, Happy New Year. I hope you enjoyed this, like a 48-minute. This is really my best heart to convey to you at the beginning of this new year, the year 2023, the year the Cheon Won Gung was built, and the year that you built it, the year your children built it, the year your tribe members built it. Let all of us participate in this crowning achievement, not only of True Father and True Mother, but of our Heavenly Parent. For it is our relationship with Heavenly Parent why true parents came. This is our divine right. Let us be divine sons and daughters and build our parent a home. I love you and thank you and Happy New Year. God bless you.